Good morning from Great Britain and welcome to the Formula One Turkish Grand Prix here in Istanbul circuit. Hopefully, this will be some sort of exciting race. We're on to round 14 of the FIA Formula One World Championship, and this is the circuit that is located in the city that has the largest population in Europe, and it straddles the border between Europe and Asia. This is Istanbul's first race and first return since it was last in the Formula One calendar in 2011, which was won by Sebastian Vettel. He was our last race winner here at Istanbul. Most successful driver though at Istanbul is Felipe Massa because he's won here three times in 2006, 2007, and 2008. Kimi Raikkonen's won here in 2005, Jenson Button in 2009, and of course, Lewis Hamilton in 2010, who is aiming for a seventh world title today. He has to beat Valtteri Bottas today by more than 8 points, and the title is his. It will be his seventh title in Formula One, and he'll be equalled with Michael Schumacher. So this is going to be some race because also Mercedes struggled today in qualifying as well. They are down in sixth and ninth on the grid. Hamilton and Bottas, they really struggled in qualifying. Let's have a look at the starting grid. Let's give you a reminder that it was the Canadian Lance Stroll who got his first ever pole position after a brilliant qualifying for Racing Point. Verstappen second, Perez third, Albon fourth. Red Bull got frustrated in Q3. Ricciardo fifth, Lewis Hamilton is sixth, followed by Esteban Ocon seventh, and Kimi Raikkonen, great qualifying for Alfa Romeo, in eighth, as Giovinazzi is 10th, and as we said, Valtteri Bottas is lining up in ninth on the grid. Then it's the two Ferraris, 11th and 12th, Vettel and Leclerc. What can they do from 11th and 12th? Followed by Kevin Magnussen and Lando Norris in 13th and 14th. Norris's teammate Carlos Sainz is 15th, with Danny Kvyat just behind in 16th. And then the back four, Romain Grosjean, Nicholas Latifi, who starts 18th, Pierre Gasly 19th, and George Russell in last. But the two Williams start from the pit lane. There were some changes that Williams are starting from the pit lane. But as for Lance Stroll, he's starting from pole for the first time. What can he do today what can he achieve today from pole position? Verstappen is second on the grid. He'll be hoping to make a big impression from the start almost instantly and take the lead. Sergio Perez starts a career best third on the grid. Checo, the Mexican, will be hoping to have a strong race today. Lewis Hamilton, like I said, needs to outscore Bottas by 8 points to equal Michael Schumacher and become a seven-time world champion. Mercedes have already wrapped up the Constructors' title. Can they get the Drivers' title today? Lance Stroll starting from pole position for the first time, the fifth youngest pole sitter in Formula One history, and the Canadian will want to make a big impression today. So in a minute, the cars will be going for their sighting lap before we get underway here at Istanbul. As we have a look at the Rolex timing clock, and there we go. The cars are off on their formation lap, and the tyres, looking at the weather conditions, are going to get colder and colder as a result. So here's the driver points. Hamilton is on 282, Bottas 197, and Verstappen 162. Best of the rest is Daniel Ricciardo on 95 points in fourth place, after he's had some cracking few podiums recently this season. And as for the constructors' points, Mercedes 479. Like I said, they've already wrapped it up. Red Bull distant on 226, followed by Renault, who's on 135. But it's a battle for third place, as Renault, McLaren, and Racing Point are all around that area. Renault 135, McLaren and Racing Point 134. So this is going to be some race. As we look at the session forecast, it's now overcast, but it could be raining today in Istanbul. There are sprays of water and there are sprays on the track at the moment, as we see one of the Red Bulls go through on the sighting lap and one of the Racing Points as well. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton starts 6th on the grid. Bottas starts in 9th. That's something Valtteri Bottas wouldn't have wanted, obviously, because he is going for the championship. So yeah, here we are. The previous wins: Vettel 2011, Hamilton 2010, Button 2009, Massa 2008, Massa 2007. And like I said, Massa won here in 2006, and Kimi Raikkonen won here the first time in 2005, which means Massa is the most successful racer in terms of victories at this race circuit. Well, the cars are now about to approach the starting grid, and this race should be a cracker. So the F1 history of drivers' championship titles: Michael Schumacher 7, Lewis Hamilton 6, Juan Manuel Fangio 5, Sebastian Vettel and Alain Prost both on 4. So this will be a huge day for Lewis Hamilton and for Mercedes, if they can win and bring home the World Championship today. There's Christian Horner, the Red Bull team boss, watching on as his main man, Max Verstappen, starts 2nd on the grid. What can he do from 2nd on the grid? His aim will definitely to win the race. He's ahead of both of the Mercedeses, and he's only got Lance Stroll ahead of him. So what can Verstappen do? What can Racing Point do after their brilliant qualifying? Can they put together a strong race? But in a minute, we are about to have the five red lights, and away we go for the Turkish Grand Prix. Stroll got a great start. Verstappen did not get well at all. It's Stroll who leads, from Perez 2nd, one of the Renault's 3rd, who has spun, and it's one of the Mercedes and one of the Renaults have spun out already. I think it was Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas, but the graphics will confirm that in a minute. Well, look at Vettel. Vettel's had a blinding start. What a start for the Ferrari. He's ahead of Verstappen, and Seb has got a superb start here on this first lap. It's the Racing Points in 1st and 2nd. I think it's Hamilton 3rd, Vettel 4th, Verstappen 5th, Albon 6th, and I think Ocon 7th. I think it was Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas who did spin out right at the start there. We just saw Kevin Magnussen go past Kimi Raikkonen, but this is a brilliant start for Sebastian Vettel. Easily his best start so far of 2020. And Max Verstappen looks easily frustrated as we see how treacherous this Turkish race really is at the moment. But the Racing Points are away. Stroll leads from Sergio Perez in 2nd. I think it's Lewis Hamilton in 3rd. I'm trying to look. Yes, it is. I saw a 44. Yeah, Hamilton's 3rd. Vettel's 4th, as the yellow flag is out already. So the yellow flag was out then, so we could have had safety car. And Hamilton's gone wide. And Vettel's through. Sebastian Vettel's up to 3rd. Lewis Hamilton is struggling on the Mercedes. He's down to 5th. Oh no, sorry, it was Esteban Ocon who spun. Esteban Ocon and Valtteri Bottas both spun at the start. Ricciardo's in 7th, just behind Albon. And Albon in turn goes past Hamilton. Hamilton is struggling. The Mercs are struggling this first lap. Terrible from the Mercedes. The Red Bulls are in 4th and 5th. They haven't had exactly the best of starts. Racing Point have got just what they wanted, but what a start from Sebastian Vettel. He is 3rd. A great start for him. Verstappen's 4th. He's trying to chase Vettel. Albon's 5th. Hamilton is struggling in 6th, and he's now under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo, who is now surely going to try and go past him, as we see Carlos Sainz catching Kimi Raikkonen. But what a drama of the first lap, as Bottas and Ocon struggled already. Hamilton's also struggled, but this is not what Valtteri Bottas wanted, all the way back in 17th place. So actually, this is what Hamilton wanted, because he's 6th, while Bottas is out of the points in 17th. Verstappen is trying all he can to get past Sebastian Vettel, but Vettel holds on to that 3rd place. Easily Sebastian Vettel's best start of 2020 of this, and as we still got 57 laps to go of this 58 lap race, and Verstappen is staying with Vettel, but it is still Lance Stroll who leads. He is 4.1. He's 4.5 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez. Vettel is 3rd. Then it's Verstappen, Albon 5th, Hamilton 6th, and Verstappen's trying all he can to get past Vettel. They go through the fast right-hander of the circuit, one of the fastest corners in the world. But this is terrible, terrible conditions, as we all know. Verstappen. I think Verstappen went too hard there, and he went on the curb, and he pushed too hard to stay with Sebastian Vettel. Lance Stroll, meanwhile, has just set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:55.125. A great start for Racing Points today. The Red Bulls will really want to join the Racing Points in battle for the lead. So will obviously the man in 6th place, Lewis Hamilton. But these are, despite the fact that it's overcast at the moment, these are blinding conditions on the circuit at the moment, with sprays of water from every single car on the circuit. As we have a look at the replay of the race start, Stroll got a brilliant start. Look at Verstappen. Verstappen, terrible start. He goes overtaken by both Renaults, both Mercedes. And there's Vettel. He's up to 6th in the first corner. Then Bottas and Ocon both spin. Vettel gets past Ricciardo. And Seb was already up to 4th. That just showed he had a fantastic start. And both of the Red Bulls just did not get away best at all. It's almost like Verstappen's missed a gear as he gets shuffled at the back and in the midfield in the first couple of corners. Then obviously Ocon and Bottas clashed, and that allowed Verstappen, Albon, Vettel, Ricciardo all to go through. This is on board with Daniel Ricciardo. Ocon going around on the outside, Bottas on the inside. Ocon spun. Oh no, sorry, Hamilton going on the inside. Bottas was just behind Ocon. And Ocon's spin forced Bottas to spin. Hamilton was on the inside of Ricciardo, and that's where he missed all the chaos between Esteban Ocon and Valtteri Bottas. This is on board with Esteban Ocon, trying to have a look at Sergio Perez. He was in 3rd, but he pushed too hard, and he spun at the first corner. So unfortunate for both Esteban Ocon and Valtteri Bottas, and that already is a huge blow to Valtteri Bottas's title chances, with him down in 16th, Lewis Hamilton in 6th, and the title is surely, it may be early days, but as it stands, Lewis Hamilton will be the 2020 Formula One World Champion. Lance Stroll's just set another fastest lap, a 1:54, while Sebastian Vettel still hasn't shaken off Max Verstappen in 4th. But if Verstappen wants to catch up to the Racing Points, he needs to clear Sebastian Vettel, because Verstappen cannot find a way through at the moment. So that's the comparison between Stroll and Vettel. It's very close, but As for Vettel, now he is holding on to that third place. Lance Stroll has just reported that the track is drying up. So, but it's all good for Lance Stroll. He is nearly 6 seconds ahead of teammate Sergio Perez, and Racing Point have got the start they just wanted. I just heard Ted Kravitz say that it is drying up, but I wonder which cars are going to do best in the dry. Most people would say Mercedes, but after these conditions, we'll see. But Racing Point are absolutely flying at the moment with Stroll and Perez at the front. Vettel still third. Verstappen still in fourth. Still cannot find a way through on Sebastian Vettel. Alex Albon stays in fifth, with Hamilton still in sixth. But this is a race that Sebastian Vettel would have absolutely dreamt for, because his relationship with Ferrari completely broke down this year after they announced that he is leaving Ferrari at the end of this year, and he was agonisingly close to retiring from the sport. But he is moving to Racing Point next year in what will be Aston Martin Racing. He'll be moving to Aston Martin to take Sergio Perez's spot and join Lance Stroll. Can the move revitalise Vettel's career after his disastrous year at Ferrari? This, though, has been showing, it's early days, but this is showing an excellent performance after such a turbulent, difficult season for the German. Meanwhile, further down, Carlos Sainz has just got past Kimi Raikkonen into 8th place, and Max Verstappen still cannot find a way past Sebastian Vettel. So, not just for the Dutchman, but for Albon as well. Red Bull are easily frustrated at the moment. They didn't get the start they wanted. Racing Point got the start they just wanted, but Mercedes is struggling even more. Bottas is 16th. Lando Norris is in 15th. Charles Leclerc is in 14th. Pierre Gasly got quite a decent start. He's in 13th after starting from 19th. But those four are out of the points at the moment. Sergio Perez has just taken away the fastest lap from Lance Stroll, and FIA Race Control have confirmed that there are no more investigations that are necessary for the first lap. This is on board with Carlos Sainz in 8th place. Excuse me. This is, I think, when he tried to get past Raikkonen. Yeah, Kimi was slipping all over the place, and he went wide, and that allowed Carlos Sainz to go through into 8th place. Perez has set the fastest lap of the race once again, a 1:53.215. He is just over 5 seconds behind Lance Stroll in 2nd place. Excuse me. Hamilton's just reported that his front brakes aren't working well, and Lando Norris has just proven that after going just wide and nearly let Valtteri Bottas go through into 15th spot. Charles Leclerc is in 14th. He's trying to find a way past his good friend Pierre Gasly in 13th place. But they just confirmed that that Stroll is already over a pit stop ahead of Lewis Hamilton in 6th place. That just shows how well Racing Point are going at the moment and how struggling Mercedes are right now. Perez has just set another fastest lap of the race. So the thing is, can he catch up to Stroll? He did just take a second out of Stroll's lead, but Stroll is doing very well in the lead at the moment. We're looking at the two AlphaTauris, Danny Kvyat in 12th place and Pierre Gasly in 13th place. Not quite the start AlphaTauri wouldn't have wanted, as we see Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc's gone into the pits and he's the first driver I've seen so far today that has gone into the pits. So the man from Monaco is making a gamble here to go into the pit stops early. And yeah, Leclerc is he's down to 17th, but he's already the first man on track that's pitted. His teammate, on the other hand, is still holding off Max Verstappen for third place, and I can see from the way Verstappen's driving, he is easily frustrated, the Dutchman, because he wants to be up there with Stroll and Perez, but he cannot find a way through on Vettel. However, out of the three title contenders, him, Hamilton, and Bottas, Verstappen is having the best race so far, but that doesn't stop the fact that Hamilton will be getting another World Championship, and this will be little consolidation for Max Verstappen, who's the man who's only had one victory all season so far, and that was at the second race of the doubleheader at Silverstone. Hamilton, though, has just set the fastest lap of the race, so Mercedes could pick up the pace here, to be honest. Bottas is calling for an early pit stop as well, and yeah, it was the 70th anniversary Grand Prix that Verstappen won the second race of Silverstone from this year. And after just hearing Bottas's team radio, he is really struggling in 15th place. As we see, I believe that's him in the pits. It is, yeah. Valtteri Bottas has also just come out of the pits. He's done exactly what Leclerc has just done, and both of those drivers will want to make up ground as the race goes on. There's still another 50 laps to go. I think that there's going to be a bit of action in the pit lane now, because we just hear Lewis Hamilton's complaining team radio. Sebastian Vettel goes into the pits also. Yeah, the track is clearly drying, so which is why Bottas, Leclerc, and Vettel have already got in. Seb is going to take his pit stop now, but meanwhile, Alex Albon has now set the fastest lap of the race. He's up to fourth because of Vettel's pit stop. Hamilton's also gone into the pits, so both Ferraris and Mercedes have gone into the pits. The Racing Points 1 and 2 at the moment, with the two Red Bulls in third and fourth. As we see Lewis Hamilton just come out, he's in 8th place at the moment after that pit stop. Vettel is 7th, and that's moved the two Red Bulls 3rd and 4th, and Ricciardo 5th, with Sainz now up to 6th. This is on board with Charles Leclerc. As Charles Leclerc goes through turns 1 and turn 2, he's chasing the AlphaTauris. Verstappen and Albon are both charging through the field. What can they do? Can they catch the Racing Points up? Albon has got the fastest lap of the race. The Racing Points will want to... No, the Red Bulls, will want to catch up as the Racing Points get ready for Stroll's pit stop. the Racing Point pit crew, and Stroll is in. Stroll is now in. And it was a 2.9 second pit stop for Lance Stroll as Perez now leads, with Verstappen fastest lap of the race now in second place. Stroll is in fourth after that pit stop. He is ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Verstappen, what has just reported, he wants to stay out on the wets, but he has set the fastest lap of the race. This is Charles Leclerc going through, I think, on one of the Williams. Yes, he is. I don't know which one. I think it was Nicholas Latifi. No, it wasn't. It was George Russell. Latifi's at the back in last place. It was George Russell, Charles Leclerc just gone through, and Leclerc has just set the fastest lap of the race. These are the two drivers that spun out on the first lap. Valtteri Bottas trying to find a way past the Renault of Esteban Ocon as Racing Point tells Sergio Perez to box, which means Verstappen will surely now take the lead. Valtteri Bottas still trying to find a way through on Esteban Ocon. And Verstappen just takes the lead now because Checo is now in the pits. Both Racing Points have now gone into the pits, and it's now a Red Bull 1-2. Verstappen leads with Albon second, Stroll third, Perez fourth. The Red Bulls want to stay out. Ricciardo goes in as well as Vettel moves up to fifth, Hamilton moves up to sixth, and Lewis sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:45.872. As we see Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz come out of the pits. This is on board with Charles Leclerc, and he is about to make a move on Kimi Raikkonen in 11th place. Pierre Gasly's just gone into the pits as he goes down to 13th place for the time being. Bottas and Norris both get ahead of Gasly, and Gasly, after that pit stop, is in 15th place. We're on lap 11. This is Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. This is the 4-time world champion and the 6-time world champion, about to be the 7-time world champion, battling it out for 5th place. And I think Hamilton is going to find a way through on Sebastian Vettel. But like I said, this has been a fantastic start to the race for the German driver. But I think Hamilton is going to make a move on Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton's got the fastest lap of the race as well. Meanwhile, Verstappen's just gone into the pits, which means Alex Albon now leads the race. So, the number 33 Dutchman has just gone into the pits, which means Albon is surely going to pit soon. But that's put Verstappen down to 4th. And Stroll and Perez are now back in the podium positions in 2nd and 3rd. Verstappen just manages to keep ahead of both Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, as Hamilton still tries to find a way through on Vettel in 6th place. This is lap 12. Alex Albon is now new race leader with Lance Stroll 2nd, Sergio Perez 3rd, Max Verstappen 4th, Sebastian Vettel 5th, coming under huge pressure from Lewis Hamilton in 6th, Daniel Ricciardo 7th, Carlos Sainz 8th, Kevin Magnussen 9th, Charles Leclerc 10th. That is your front 10 at the moment, as Red Bull have just confirmed that they want Alex Albon to box, which means Lance Stroll will surely retake the lead. As the Drivers' Championship update, as it stands, Hamilton will be world champion because Bottas will be 94 points behind. He is 13th in this race at the moment and will not score any points as it stands. Meanwhile, Sebastian Vettel's just locked up, and that will surely pave the way for the Mercedes to go through. Vettel's held on. Seb has held on to 5th place after locking up, as we see Albon about to come out of the pits. And I think that's going to drop Albon to 6th, which means Lance Stroll has retaken the lead. Yeah, Albon's down to 6th, Vettel up to 4th, Hamilton in 5th, who's obviously trying to find every single way to get past Sebastian Vettel to gain more points after Valtteri Bottas' dismal race so far. So yeah, Hamilton will score 11 points as it stands, the 10 points for 5th place and the fastest lap, the extra point of the fastest lap, and Bottas will score none, currently in 12th. As the yellow flag comes out because there is a problem with Antonio Giovinazzi. Something has happened to the Alfa Romeo, and he's pulled over. I think Gio is going to retire from this race, so the safety car will be out and will be deployed. That Giovinazzi pulling over is the hazard on the track. Drivers to slow down, no overtaking near incidents. Mind you, the yellow flag is for sector 2 for the time being. It's not for the whole track, so that's why the safety car isn't out. My apologies. No. Having said that, though, the safety car is now out. It's a virtual safety car because there is a problem with Antonio Giovinazzi's car. He's pulled over. I think the Italian is going to retire from this race. What a shame, because doubly disappointing from Antonio Giovinazzi after such a promising qualifying for him and his team. His teammate Kimi Raikkonen is not doing any better. He is in 13th at the moment and out of the points. What a shame for Alfa Romeo. They had quite a decent qualifying yesterday. Meanwhile, we have a look at Max Verstappen's slow pit stop. 4 seconds. And Red Bull struggled in that pit stop there. And he didn't get out of the pits well as well. So we see the car going from one way to another, going all over the place with no grip whatsoever, as we see the racing point of Stroll zooming past in that replay. As we have a look at the FIA race control. We're on lap 14, and this is a virtual safety car at the moment because Giovinazzi is out of this race. So as it stands, with this safety car, Lewis Hamilton will be world champion in 5th place, 10 points, plus the extra points for fastest lap, 11 points for him, while Bottas will score none. But so far, it is racing points that lead the way. Everything going Lawrence Stroll's team's way at the moment. The Canadian leads from the Mexican. The 2 North Americans, 2 of the 3 North Americans are at the front. The other North American is in dead last in 19th, Nicholas Latifi. But racing points are just having the weekend of their lives at the moment at the front and in 2nd place. It could all still change, but we don't know. It's still Stroll leads from Perez in 2nd, and Verstappen completing the top 3. This is a replay of Sergio Perez's pit stop. His pit stop was also slow, just like Verstappen's, and the strategists had a problem there, just exactly on what happened with the Red Bull strategists with Max Verstappen. This is Sebastian Vettel still in 4th place. The safety car is about to end, and the drivers will be able to overtake once more, and racing will resume as Hamilton still tries to find every single way past the 4-time world champion in the Ferrari. Vettel has had a superb start to this race in 4th place, but he is struggling for traction as Hamilton still tries to find a way past. As the two multiple world champions go underneath the bridge, and they're about to approach soon the fast right-hander after this back straight, which goes into hang on. Which goes into that was going into turn 9. That was, my apologies. Hamilton's got the fastest lap, trying to go down the inside, but still can't find a way past Sebastian Vettel. But goes around the outside, but he's run wide. Hamilton's run wide, and that will cost him a place to Alex Albon. So Hamilton pushed too hard to get past Sebastian Vettel, but now he has dropped a place to Alex Albon and down to 6th spot. So Vettel still holds on to 4th place, but now he's got the Red Bull of Alex Albon behind him to try and get past and catch up to teammate Max Verstappen. Hamilton complaining that the brakes aren't working, and that when he went wide there just proved that. As we have a look back on board with Sebastian Vettel, Hamilton tried to find a way through, and then he went round the outside, but he went too deep, and that dropped Hamilton back to 6th, and that moves Albon up to 5th. So we got a battle between two multiple world champions and a young gun for 4th place. Alex Albon has got past Sebastian Vettel, so the Red Bulls are now in 3rd and 4th. Hamilton will now then have another go at Sebastian Vettel. So Albon did get past the German, and the man from Thailand is up to 4th and will want to chase Max Verstappen for 3rd. Speaking of the Dutchman, he is trying to get up to 2nd to try and find a way past Sergio Perez. He really has caught up to Sergio Perez, even though Perez has just set the fastest lap of the race, but Perez is 8 seconds behind race leader Lance Stroll. A 1:45.323 for Sergio Perez, but Max Verstappen's trying to find every way to get past Perez. Alex Albon has beaten Perez's lap there, a 1:45.092. Albon is charging in 4th with fastest lap. Can he catch up to his teammate and Sergio Perez? He is just underneath 9 seconds behind Lance Stroll for the he's just underneath 9 seconds behind Max Verstappen, Alex Albon. About to be 8.5 seconds, but this is a replay of Albon getting past Vettel. Nicely done. And we're back with the battle for 2nd place. Perez and Verstappen go through the fastest right-hander of the circuit and one of the fastest right-handers in the world. Verstappen is so close behind Sergio Perez. He still cannot find a way through. But yeah, Sergio is doing the best he can for his team at the moment, holding on to that second place while Lance Stroll leads this race. We're on to lap 18, and Alex Albon has just set the fastest lap once again. He's now on 7. He's now on 7. He's now 7 seconds behind Verstappen. Leclerc did initially set the fastest lap then, but once again, Albon took it away from him. And he's closing in. Albon is closing in on his teammate. Verstappen and Perez just went past turn 7 there as they just go through turn 8. And now coming onto the back straight towards turn 9. Charles Leclerc has retaken the fastest lap from Alex Albon, a 1:42 for him for the Monegasque. Verstappen nearly had a chance there. I think he could have a chance there at the fastest right-hander, but no, he doesn't. He still cannot get through. He's gone wide. He went too. Verstappen pushed too hard, trying to get past Sergio Perez, and Verstappen has spun out, and Albon is up to 3rd. Disaster there for Max Verstappen, and he's dropped right back to 4th place. No, he's gone back to 6th. Vettel's passed, as has Hamilton. Verstappen pushed too hard to get past Sergio Perez, and that has costed him a few positions there. Which means Verstappen's teammate, who has just set the fastest lap of the race once again, is now up to 3rd. And Verstappen has just gone into the pits. This is a great race for Albon so far. And Verstappen will be absolutely furious with that. And no wonder he's gone into the pits once again. Missed opportunity for Verstappen. He went for the inside, but pushed too hard to try and get past Sergio Perez. As there are still sprays on the track, even though it's drying up. And Max pushed too hard and spun out of 3rd place and has dropped back to 6th. We're back with Lewis Hamilton, the championship leader, soon to be the world champion, as it stands, because Valtteri Bottas is still struggling in 15th place. Hamilton, on the other hand, is still struggling to get past Sebastian Vettel. If Vettel can hold on the pace and can hold on to these positions and the conditions stay the same, Seb could be on for a podium today. And this, as it stands, is by far Sebastian Vettel's best race of this season. And don't forget, Vettel was the last winner of this at this racetrack in 2011, the season he dominated in the Red Bull. And then Lewis Hamilton won here in 2010 after Vettel himself collided with Mark Webber in the M section at turn 12 on the straight as well. They've just gone through it as well, Vettel and Hamilton. Both of them were battling for the lead then as well. It was a Red Bull and McLaren battle for the lead between Vettel, Hamilton, Webber and Button. And yeah, the two from that race in 2010 and both racing obviously in 2011 are battling for 4th place at the moment. The 4-time world champion against the 6-time world champion. At the moment, the 4-time world champion has the advantage, but Hamilton is still trying to find a way past Sebastian Vettel and cannot find a way through at all. Meanwhile, Alex Albon is just over 3.5 seconds behind Sergio Perez, and I think he is closing in on Sergio Perez. This is Lance Stroll, our race leader. Perez is just over 6.5 seconds behind his teammate. Albon is closing in on Perez, which means Albon could have the pace to catch up Stroll, but we'll see. This is still only lap 20. We still haven't gotten past halfway yet, which is lap 29. But this so far has been a great race for Albon. He's like Vettel. I know Vettel and Ferrari have had a more difficult season, but Albon's also had a difficult season. So Albon is doing what he can to salvage something from this season, because there's been all talks on him being kicked out of Red Bull after next season, or maybe going back to AlphaTauri or do something else. But this is a great race for Albon so far. Hamilton's just complained on the radio that he is struggling so hard on his Mercedes at the moment. Don't forget that if Hamilton does retire from this race, which I don't know if that will happen yet, but if Hamilton does retire from this race, then the championship is still on, even though it will still be slim, because Bottas hasn't scored any points at the moment, as Charles Leclerc has just set the fastest lap of the race. He is just behind the man who spun out a third place, Max Verstappen. Well, just earlier in just a few laps ago. Verstappen is sandwiched between Charles Leclerc in ninth and Leclerc's future teammate at Ferrari, Carlos Sainz, who's currently in seventh. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen is under investigation from the FIA. Wow. That is for crossing the line at pit exit. So Verstappen's race could get worse and worse here, as Stroll just starts lap 21. He did just have a scruffy lap there, Lance Stroll. He isn't that far ahead of Perez and Albon. Meanwhile, this is Valtteri Bottas spinning, and he's down to 17th place. This race is getting worse and worse for Valtteri Bottas, and surely if Hamilton, I don't think Hamilton's going to win this race, but if he can hold on to fifth and Bottas is out of the points, Hamilton will still be world champion no matter what. This is the battle for sixth place. Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, and Max Verstappen, who has just set the fastest lap of the race once more, 1:41.479, and he will be looking to gain a couple of positions once again after his spin from third place for pushing too hard to try and get past the Mexican of Sergio Perez. Everything going Racing Point's way at the moment this race, but personally for me, the man I'd watch out for now is Alex Albon, because he has closed right up. He is about to close right up on Sergio Perez. He is he is nearly a second behind Sergio Perez. Albon is really reeling Checo in. He's the man I'm watching out for at the moment, is Alex Albon, because I think he's closing right up on Perez. I think he's going to get past Perez as well. However, Perez has just got faster that lap, even though Albon is closing in. This is on board with Alex Albon. We see Sergio Perez just in front, going into the first turn, and Albon will not want to repeat exactly what his teammate did. Stroll still leads. So, our top 10, as it stands, are Stroll, Perez, Albon, Vettel, who's 11 seconds behind Alex Albon. Then Hamilton, Ricciardo, Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, and then Kevin Magnussen completing the points. George Russell's 11th, Lando Norris is 12th, as we see a replay of Max Verstappen once again. And he's going wide. Another issue for the Red Bull. The Dutchman is struggling as he tries to catch up and keep up with both Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz. So realistically now, this race is actually playing into Hamilton's hands because both Bottas and Verstappen are struggling in 8th and 17th. Even though Verstappen did set the fastest lap of the race, he is also struggling on that Red Bull, and he's under investigation from the FIA, as I said. So, despite Hamilton only being in 5th and struggling as well, it is all going his way at the moment, and he will be world champion as it stands. But at the moment, the podium is Lance Stroll, Sergio Perez, and Alex Albon, who's caught right up on Sergio Perez now. He's really in pursuit. What can he do? As the two drivers head towards turn 3, the left-hander. And then into the tight right-hander of turn 4. Albon is the fastest guy of the top 3, but he's got the 2 racing points ahead. As we just hear Hamilton's radio race engineer, Peter Bonington, telling that the track is drying up, but Hamilton is saying that that they still got a long way away, which they still have got a long way away, to be fair, because they still haven't passed the halfway point, but Hamilton will be world champion as it stands, so it's all going his way. Alex Albon is in 3rd place, fastest man of the front 3, and he is trying to prove to his boss, Christian Horner, that he is worthy of that Red Bull seat. And Sergio Perez is now caught up in traffic, as is Albon. I think it's one of the Williams just ahead. It is. I think it's Latifi being a back marker. I can't see if that's a number 4 or number 63. I think it was number 4. But Stroll's just confirmed that he's picking up so much understeer. Racing Point have just confirmed that Stroll is picking so much understeer. So, like I said, this race ain't over yet, but Perez and Albon are both... They're both under traffic as Perez and Albon go through on the Williams back marker. I think it was Latifi, but yeah, it was Latifi. I mean, yeah, he's 2 laps down on the rest anyway, so yeah. We can just see that Stroll has actually dropped back a bit because it is now just over 3.5 seconds between Stroll and his teammate. Verstappen still complaining that Verstappen still saying that that the last sector of the Istanbul circuit is still extremely wet, but he's still down in 8th place. Albon trying to find a way past Perez, but like I said, these two have caught up on Stroll, so I think any one of these 3 could still win this race. Albon's trying everything he can to get past Perez. Perez just slipped then, but didn't quite spin out. Albon still trying to find a way through. Albon did lose time on Perez then, but I'd say the team to watch out for now is Ferrari because they are actually going very fast at the moment. Vettel is 11 seconds behind Alex Albon, but he is catching up steadily as we see Lando Norris get through on Russell. Lando Norris, as we see, barges through George Russell and forces Russell wide. George Russell just said on the radio that that he barged through. two good friends, obviously, the two of the three rookies from last year, part of the four Twitch streamers, along with Alex Albon and Charles Leclerc. Albon third in this race, Leclerc ninth. But no, the Ferraris are going quite fast at the moment, despite that Leclerc is in ninth and Vettel's in fourth. And Vettel's just over 11 seconds behind Albon. So Vettel could catch up to these two, but it depends if his Ferrari will have the pace to do it, because Albon is still trying to find a way past Sergio Perez. As Lance Stroll, our race leader, completes another lap. We're now on to lap 27. Stroll leads, Perez second, Albon third. That is your front three at the moment. A very unexpected front three. On board with Lando Norris in 11th place. He's trying to catch up to Kevin Magnussen. So Norris will, if he goes up to 10th, he will gain a point as it stands. But Kevin Magnussen's actually not having a bad race at the moment in 10th place. It's much better from Haas there with Magnussen in 10th. His teammate Roman Grosjean is not having the best of races. He's down in 18th. He's second to last, only ahead of Latifi, as Giovinazzi is out of this race. Lando Norris is trying to find a way past the Haas driver of Kevin Magnussen. So the McLaren driver will gain a point if he can find a way through. As both Magnussen and Lando go through the last corner onto the home straight, I'm pretty sure Lando Norris will get through on Kevin Magnussen. He's right behind Kevin Magnussen, but Norris will not want to repeat what Hamilton tried to do on Vettel and went wide, and especially not want to do on what Verstappen did to Perez, and he spun out. The FIA race control have confirmed that crossing the white line incident involving car 33 will be investigated after the race. So, tension for the fastest man on the track, Max Verstappen. Lando Norris tries to get through on Kevin Magnussen, not quite able to do so. As they go through turn 8, still cannot find a way through. And Magnussen looked a lot faster coming out of turn 8 there as the two come onto the back straight. I was just about to say the two, Norris and Magnussen, do go through turn 9 there, as we have a replay of Max Verstappen. Despite being fastest man, he is struggling in 8th place. Norris does go through on Kevin Magnussen, so Lando Norris does have the last point at the moment, which means Kevin Magnussen has now dropped out of the points. Disappointing for Magnussen, but it still wasn't too bad of a performance, because Haas could have gained a point there, but he's lost out to Norris. This is the replay of Norris going through on Magnussen. Into the M section of turn 12 and turn 13. And yeah, Norris is up to 10th. Now he's got to chase Charles Leclerc. This is Lewis Hamilton in 5th place. As it stands, he will be on 292 points. Valtteri Bottas will not score any points today and will be 95 points behind. As it stands, Lewis Hamilton will equal Michael Schumacher and become a 7-time world champion. He is not having the best of races, Lewis Hamilton, but he will be relieved that his teammate is struggling today. Alex Albon's just confirmed that the front of his car is struggling, which is a shame for Albon, because he looked to be the danger man today. just then to reel in on Perez and Stroll. But Albon is still in third. However, the man to watch out for now, I'd say, is Sebastian Vettel, because he's only 2 seconds behind Alex Albon now. Albon is really struggling in third place, and Vettel could be onto the podium at the moment. So this has been a cracking race for the German. Not so much of a cracking race for Max Verstappen, even though he's fastest man on the track in 8th place. But no, Albon and Perez, I think, are struggling because Vettel's closing in. Well, mind you, Albon's dropped from Sergio Perez, so Albon's struggling. Vettel's closing in. As we hear Lance Stroll on the radio, Vettel's closing in. Seb is closing in on Alex Albon. And Vettel could be on for a podium today. And this has been his best race of the season, without a doubt. Sebastian Vettel. He could be on the podium today. And this will be such a relief for the German after such a turbulent, difficult season. And the relationship breaking down with team principal Matteo Binotto. This will be exactly what Sebastian Vettel needed and deserved after such a disastrous season for him and Ferrari. And this will be relief for the German if he goes up to third and gets into the podium in third place. DRS has just been enabled. So yeah, this is Vettel, Hamilton and Albon now. Yeah, Albon really has dropped the pace of the 2 racing points. And Seb could find a way through, but as could Hamilton. Hamilton could find a way through as well. So yeah, Albon's really lost the pace of the 2 racing points, which is a double shame because I honestly thought he was going to challenge for the lead with Perez and Stroll. But Albon now looks like he's struggling. I think Lewis and Sebastian are both going to get past the Red Bull driver. Well, the top 5 are actually all in the pits. No, the front 5, as I was saying, are literally a pit lane's length apart now in this race. As Seb's teammate Charles Leclerc has just gone to take inters, and he has taken a gamble there from 9th place. So that means could things go better for the Monegasque driver? I don't know. We could pick up a few positions, but we'll see. We're on lap 31. Stroll leads, Perez second, Albon third, Vettel fourth, Hamilton fifth. That is still your top 5. We're on board with Max Verstappen, trying to catch up with Carlos Sainz in 8th place. Going towards turn 9 and then turn 10. Sainz in turn is trying to catch up to 6th place Daniel Ricciardo on the Renault. Ricciardo's teammate Esteban Ocon is still struggling in 14th place. Like I said at the beginning, Esteban Ocon and Valtteri Bottas both spun on the first lap at the first corner, and they are both out of the points at the moment in 14th and 16th place, respectively. Still on board with Max Verstappen. Well, we were then. He's still in 8th place. This is Carlos Sainz in 7th. trying to find every way he can with his McLaren to catch up with the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo, the Aussie in 6th place, followed by the Spaniard in 7th. We're about to look at a replay from Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's gone wide again. He's still trying to push to get past Sebastian Vettel and probably past Alex Albon too, because he wants to get on the podium so he can celebrate his 7th championship on the podium. But he's pushing too hard and he's just gone wide yet again and has lost out to both Albon and Vettel yet again. Carlos Sainz is gaining on Daniel Ricciardo, while Sebastian Vettel has assistance of DRS and is trying to stay with Alex Albon. And Carlos Sainz has just got ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, and the McLaren Spaniard is up to 6th, which means the Renault's clearly. I see the Renault's slowing as well slightly because Verstappen is right behind Ricciardo now, his former teammate, and Ricciardo's just gone into the pits. So Verstappen is up to 7th no matter what. So Daniel Ricciardo comes in. Charles Leclerc sets the fastest lap of the race on the Inters with a 1:40.962. But he is 14 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Lance Stroll just showing and telling what the problem of this track is right now. And that is that the track is dry, but there are still so many wet patches across the track. But it's still going all well for the Canadian, leading this race still. But Sergio Perez is now 0.2 seconds behind his teammate. Yeah, he is. So Perez might take the lead in a minute. So can Stroll hold on to this first place for the next 24 laps? We have gone past halfway now. We're on the 34th lap. We're on lap 34, and Sebastian Vettel has just gone into the pits, and he's just had a slow pit stop. That is not what Sebastian Vettel would have wanted. What a shame, because he's had such a promising, brilliant race. And Albon has spun round, which means Hamilton is on the podium. Vettel's dismal pit stop. There was something wrong with Seb's pit stop. And Alex Albon has just spun round, which means it has all paved the way for Lewis Hamilton. And Hamilton is up to 3rd. Just what Lewis Hamilton would have wanted. Meanwhile, Kimi Raikkonen has just been lapped, and that is a huge, huge blow for Alex Albon, who looked to be on the podium yet again, but he has lost it. And Hamilton is now up to 3rd because Vettel went in the pits. He didn't have the best of pit stops. Vettel's down to 6th. Verstappen's up to 5th. But it's Leclerc who sets the fastest lap of the race in 7th. And now Hamilton's on 297 points, which means he will be world champion. This is a replay of Sebastian Vettel. What a shame this was. Honestly, this was just such a slow pit stop. You got to feel sorry for him. He's having a brilliant race, and that is just a shame. you've got to feel sorry for Sebastian Vettel there, as we just see Alex Albon come in and out of the pits. He's down to 6th himself now because Vettel's just got past. And despite the fact that Vettel's dropped to 5th, this is still his best race of the season. Hamilton wants to stay out there, but can he catch up to the 2 racing points in 1st and 2nd, who are about to be held up by backmarkers Stroll and Perez? Hamilton is 4 seconds behind Sergio Perez, and that gap is dropping down, so he is catching up to the 2 racing points. Pressure's now on the racing points. As you can see, some of the team members shaking their boots there. Pressure for Racing Point right now. They're being held up by backmarkers such as George Russell and Pierre Gasly, and Hamilton is closing in on both Perez and Stroll. Lance Stroll clearly not happy with Racing Point's strategy and wanting to go for the mediums, but Stroll is happy as he is, and his Racing Point race radio engineer did not sound happy with him one bit about that. And Kevin Magnussen is onto the grass. There is a problem with the Danes car, and the yellow flag has just come out, and the Haas driver from Scandinavia is surely going to retire from this race. So this will be the 2nd DNF of this race. He must have not had a great pit stop. And this is a replay of K-Mag going into the pits. Yeah, just the problem with the car straight away. I think the Haas strategist made a mistake there, and Kevin Magnussen looks like he's going to be out of this race. Meanwhile, the Racing Point are telling Lance Stroll to box, which means Sergio Perez will be the new leader of this race. So Stroll's in the pits, which means Perez now leads, with Hamilton now up to 2nd. So now it depends on how Lance Stroll's pit stop goes. The Canadian is in the pits. Not too bad of a pit stop. It wasn't slow, but it wasn't fast. And Stroll is going to end up in 4th place. Verstappen's just got past him. Right, well, the FIA race control just confirmed that the pit lane incident involving car 20 will be investigated after the race, which is Kevin Magnussen, obviously. But I think Magnussen is going to retire from this race. He's still going at the moment, but I think he could also be another retirement, just like Antonio Giovinazzi. On board with our new race leader, Sergio Perez, who is obviously now leading this race after Lance Stroll's pit stop. And however, Perez is under huge pressure from the soon-to-be 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. On the fast right-hander, Hamilton is surely going to get past Sergio Perez. Perez does have DRS, but Hamilton's through. So Hamilton now leads this race. He now leads the Turkish Grand Prix. So Hamilton started 6th on the grid and is now leading this race. So, normal day at the office for Mercedes now. So, 20 laps to go. And Hamilton has just taken the lead from Sergio Perez. Mind you, Stroll's tyres are starting to grain. I think it now depends on how. I think it depends on how Hamilton, Perez, and Verstappen are going to do now, because Hamilton and Perez, I think, need to pit again. Stroll has just been in the pits, but his tyres are graining, so this could end up turbulent for Lance Stroll. After leading nearly the entire of this race, this could end up no podium. This could end up being no podium for Lance Stroll. This is the battle for 6th place. Two of the Twitch streamers, Alex Albon and Charles Leclerc. And Leclerc is still trying to find a way past Alex Albon, but not quite close enough yet. Carlos Sainz, meanwhile, in 8th place, has just set the fastest lap. There is Sebastian Vettel in 5th, as one of the Williams drivers, I think it was Nicholas Latifi, I'm not entirely sure, has just made way for both Albon and Leclerc. Verstappen is now the fastest man in Sector 2. Leclerc is trying all he can to catch up with Alex Albon. He did held it on there in the M section at turn 12 and turn 13. I think Leclerc is going to find a way past Alex Albon. As we look at the gap, that is nearly 17 seconds between Max Verstappen in 3rd and Lewis Hamilton in the lead. Lap 39, Hamilton leads, Perez 2nd, Verstappen 3rd, Stroll 4th, Vettel 5th, Albon 6th, Leclerc 7th, Sainz 8th, Ricciardo 9th, Norris 10th. So that is your front 10 at the moment. And the yellow flag is out in Sector 1, so something has surely happened in Sector 1. Hamilton is now 5 seconds, nearly 5 seconds ahead of. He is now over 5 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez, as Lando Norris is now the fastest man on the track. What happened? Oh, it was one of the Williams. It was Latifi. Latifi went off at turn 4. Fortunately, Nicholas Latifi didn't go into the barriers, thank God. As Sebastian Vettel gets through on Lance Stroll, but Lance Stroll fights straight back on Sebastian Vettel. But Stroll has gone wide, which means Vettel is up to 4th, and Leclerc has gone up to 5th. Ferrari's gone up to 4th and 5th, and this is getting worse and worse for Lance Stroll. And I think Stroll is about to be overtaken by Albon. Albon fancies a chance on Lance Stroll, as there's now a yellow flag on Sector 3, but it's now clear. And Stroll's race is getting worse and worse. Meanwhile, it's getting better and better for Lewis Hamilton. He will quite easily secure the World Championship today, with Valtteri Bottas still out of the points. Hamilton leading the race. Carlos Sainz's radio engineer confirming that there could still be rain. And Ted Gravitz has just reported that is becoming more chillier and more darker on the at the pit lane, as we're on board with Charles Leclerc, trying to stay with Sebastian Vettel, as there's a yellow flag at Sector 1 once again. I wonder what's happened. Leclerc eases through on Vettel and goes up to fourth. The Monegasque is now up to fourth place and is now on the charge to catch up to Hamilton, Perez and Verstappen. But Verstappen is Leclerc's 28 seconds behind Max Verstappen. So he's got a big task ahead if he wants to get into the podium. Lap 41. Lewis Hamilton still leads this race. And he could lap his teammate in a minute. Alex Albon gets past Lance Stroll. Stroll is down to 7th. Valtteri Bottas spins once again at turn 1. And that is Nicholas Latifi tangling with, I think, Romain Grosjean. But no, seeing that turn 1 spin once again, this race is getting... Excuse me. Excuse me, I do apologise. This race is getting worse and worse for Valtteri Bottas, as it is for Lance Stroll, as Carlos Sainz breezes through, but Lance Stroll bites back immediately at the end section. But he once again goes for the wide line and goes wide himself. And Carlos Sainz moves up to 7th place. Stroll has gone down to 8th. Ever since that pit stop, Stroll has faded from the lead and he's now down to 8th. What a shame for the Canadian. And he's lost his pace altogether, just overtaken by Carlos Sainz, who now moves up to 7th. Sainz's teammate Lando Norris, meanwhile, has just set the fastest lap of the race in 10th. Well, Hamilton leads, Perez is 2nd, Verstappen's 3rd, Leclerc is 4th, and Vettel is 5th. 4 of the title candidates of 2019 are in the top 5. The other one, Valtteri Bottas, is in 13th. Lap 43, Valtteri Bottas has just been shown the blue flags because Lewis Hamilton is about to overtake and lap his teammate. As it stands, Hamilton will obviously be world champion, and Valtteri Bottas will be an agonising 110 points behind his teammate now in the World Championship and will not be able to catch up one bit. Nicholas Latifi is now in the pits. I think he's going to retire from this race because of that collision with Romain Grosjean. On board with Charles Leclerc. He is reeling under Max Verstappen, isn't he? He's really caught up on Max Verstappen. Leclerc could be on the podium today. It's been a very good race for Ferrari today. It really has. But yeah, Leclerc has caught right up on Max Verstappen. Leclerc could be on the podium today. This will be Charles' 2nd podium of 2020. and he's reeling in, he's through. Leclerc is through on Verstappen, and the Ferrari Monegasque driver is up to third. And Verstappen's in the pits. Verstappen's in the pits yet again. This race has not gone Max's way one bit. One of the Williams drivers, because Latifi's out. George Russell has joined Max Verstappen in the pits there, as we just see at the back. But this is Verstappen's third pit stop of the race, along with Latifi more than anyone else this race. Carlos Sainz is now the fastest man on Sector 2, but Norris is still the fastest man on the circuit. This is Carlos Sainz. He is actually catching Alex Albon, so Sainz could go up to 5th at this rate. So this is better. This is better from McLaren. It really is. Sainz could be up to 5th at this rate. Lap 44, the number that Lewis Hamilton wears on the front of his car. He, as it stands, will be carrying that number 44 to another World Championship and will equal Michael Schumacher with 7 world titles. Been an absolutely amazing last 7 seasons for Mercedes. It's going to be superb for them. Carlos Sainz just gets past Alex Albon, and Sainz is up to 5th. Can he now catch the Ferraris? Leclerc's still 3rd. Vettel's still 4th, as this is a replay of another slow pit stop from Max Verstappen. 3.7 seconds that pit stop was. It was a very slow pit stop. Nothing is going Red Bull's way. And we all thought this race would belong to either Red Bull or Racing Point. The race win is most likely now going to be another win from Mercedes. But as it stands, Leclerc will be as it stands in 5 laps, Leclerc is going to be right behind Sergio Perez and could finish 2nd. This has, though, been a brilliant race for Sergio Perez. He's maintained 2nd place this whole race, pretty much. Although I still don't think he will enjoy this as much as he enjoyed his very first 2nd place with Sauber in Malaysia 2012. I think that will go down still as his best race of his career. On board with Lewis Hamilton as he speeds and laps past Valtteri Bottas. And Toto Wolff cannot believe it as he looks on. And Bottas, as you can see there, is really struggling. He's just gone wide. He's really struggling down in 13th place. Unlucky for some. Hamilton, though, on the verge of winning a 7th World Championship with 12 laps to go. Max Verstappen has just set the fastest lap of the race once again, and that's just been the story of his race. It's a 1:39.706. That has been the story of Max Verstappen's race, pretty much. Every time he has had a slow pit stop and he's come into the pits, he ends up producing the fastest lap of the race. Then has some sort of problem and goes into the pits as Hamilton does not look happy with Valtteri Bottas holding him up there one bit. Can Verstappen get past teammate Albon? So the two Red Bulls lap Kevin Magnussen and go past lap 9 and into lap 10, and they're about to approach the fastest right-hander of the circuit and one of the fastest corners in the world. Verstappen could get past Albon, but as it stands, we've just seen the championship from the mid-table. Sainz is ahead of Albon, and Albon is ahead of Norris, which is pretty much the race at the moment. So, the two Red Bulls are still languishing in 6th and 7th. The Ferraris, on the other hand, are in 3rd and 4th. Can Leclerc and Vettel catch Perez? Mind you, the two Red Bulls ain't too far behind Carlos Sainz, so they could still finish 5th yet. Either Albon or Verstappen. As Christian Horner looks on after such a difficult race for Red Bull. As they say in motor racing, it is all about points that make the prizes. Bottas has just come into the pits as we start lap 48. They're talking about Hamilton coming into the pits, which means Perez will take the lead. I believe Perez will take the lead. And if Hamilton does have a slow pit stop, then Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel could get past, and both Ferraris could be on the podium. Still an awful lot to play for here. Hamilton still leads from Perez second, even though the gap is 18 seconds between Hamilton and Perez. Leclerc is third, Vettel is fourth. We're on board with Lando Norris. He is still in 10th place. In front of him is his future McLaren teammate, Daniel Ricciardo. And Lando's closing in on the Australian and could go up to 9th. So Sainz is 7th, Albon 8th on 72, Norris 9th on 70, with Gasly in 10th, just behind. That's the mid-table battle for the championship. As we just see Romain Grosjean go wide, there is some sort of problem with the Haas. He's about to be lapped by Sergio Perez, who just goes through. And Haas, as once again, are having another difficult race. Back on board with Lando Norris, the man from Bristol, trying to catch up and close in on the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo, as we all know, will be joining McLaren and Lando Norris next year, taking Carlos Sainz's spot, who will be going to Ferrari, who will be taking Sebastian Vettel's spot, who will be going to Aston Martin, who will be taking Sergio Perez's spot, who is currently without a seat as Ricciardo locks up and spins out. Norris goes up to 9th and Ricciardo has just spun. What a shame for the Australian. And Lando Norris now moves up to 9th spot. And what a shame for Daniel Ricciardo for spinning in the last couple of corners. And just behind Ricciardo, he could catch up. Just behind Ricciardo is Esteban Ocon. So Ocon could catch Ricciardo here, but mistake from Ricciardo in the M section. locked up, then spun, and that allowed Lando Norris to go through. Here are the two Red Bulls in 6th and 7th. Verstappen still the fastest man on the track, but it's 24 seconds between Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc for 1st and 3rd in this race. See, I don't know if Mercedes are going to bring Hamilton in, but I think Hamilton's confident enough to stay out and try and win from the lead. Sorry, the hiccups then. Max Verstappen definitely looks the faster of the two Red Bulls. Can he get past Alex Albon? Valtteri Bottas just gets past Kimi Raikkonen into 14th spot, but he's still out of the points. This is on board with the Monegasque. Charles Leclerc, he's had a bit of a problem there and he went wide. That's not going to do the Monegasque driver any favours whatsoever. And that has lost Charles quite some time to 2nd place Sergio Perez. That was a horrible lap Leclerc was on just then, as we still look at the two Red Bulls in 6th and 7th. Both got DRS, both coming into the fastest right-hander of the circuit. And Sergio Perez has just been confirmed, has been faster in Sector 2, as Verstappen tries to reel in on Albon as they both approach the final corner. The Red Bulls are 43 seconds behind Carlos Sainz. No, sorry. The Red Bulls are 37, just under 37 seconds behind Carlos Sainz in 5th spot. Seven laps to go. Kimi Raikkonen and Alex Albon has... No, wait, let's have a look at this replay here. There goes Kimi Raikkonen spinning. It was Verstappen. So, 7 laps to go. Kimi Raikkonen just spins out, as does Max Verstappen, which sums up his race pretty much. And Verstappen has lost ground to Albon there. And yeah, that was a horrible moment for the Dutchman. But now there's 6 laps to go. Hamilton wants to stay out and doesn't want any unnecessary pit stops. No, I was just saying, Lance Stroll was leading this race brilliantly, and then as soon as he had that pit stop, his tyres have degraded ever since, while his teammate is still in 2nd place and is on the verge of being on the podium today. Hamilton, Perez and Leclerc is your podium at the moment, but the fans have just voted Leclerc as driver of the day, with Vettel in 2nd, Hamilton in 3rd. In fact, as it stands, Ferrari have had a better race than any other team, because even though Mercedes are leading it, Bottas is down in 14th and has had a disastrous race from the start. Ferrari have had the best. The team that have had the best race today so far have been Ferrari. Leclerc and Vettel in third and fourth. It was Racing Point, but then Stroll went backwards, as we know. Charles Leclerc is third. Sebastian Vettel is fourth. It has been a great race for Ferrari so far, but Vettel's race engineer has just confirmed that there will be rain in these last few laps, so this could change anything. Remember Brazil 2008? Remember Timo Glock? As the Toyotas completely struggled at the end, and that allowed Lewis Hamilton to win the World Championship instead of Felipe Massa. These last few laps could be exactly the same here today in Istanbul. Speaking of which, obviously, this is the track that Felipe Massa has. Felipe Massa is the most successful driver in terms of victories at this race circuit. Five laps to go. Lando Norris has just set the fastest lap of the race again with a 1:38.057. That is Max Verstappen. He's in sixth place. He has got back past Alex Albon despite his spin. As we have a look at the man in third place, Charles Leclerc, who is 5 seconds behind Sergio Perez with 5 laps to go. Vettel, in turn, is 5 seconds behind Leclerc. So, the thing is, can the Ferraris catch up to Sergio Perez and get on the podium? That would be an amazing relief for a team who has completely underperformed this season. It really will. It really will be an amazing day for Ferrari because they've had such a disastrous race. They've had not disastrous race. Sorry, they have had such a disastrous season. They've underperformed completely, as Laurent Mekies, sporting director and head of track area of Ferrari, looks on. Racing Point are still shaking their legs. They're hoping Perez can hold on to that second place, but it has been such a shame for Stroll. As it stands, Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez will both be joint fourth in the World Championship on 100 points. Daniel Ricciardo will move down to sixth on 96 because he'll just gain that 1 point for finishing 10th place as it stands. Lando Norris has set another fastest lap of the race, a 1:37.603. If Hamilton wins this will be his 94th win in Formula One. And he will keep extending those run of victories as Mercedes just look completely dominant right now in the motorsport world. Despite the fact that, if anything, Ferrari are having the best race out of all the teams this race here today. On board with the 4-time world champion, Sebastian Vettel, in 4th place. He can see the Monegasque driver, teammate of Charles Leclerc, just in front of him in 3rd. He is 4 seconds behind Leclerc, so he has caught up slightly. Valtteri Bottas just wants this race to be over. It has just been an appalling, disastrous race for the man from Finland. This will be a day Valtteri Bottas will honestly want to forget. But no, Vettel has actually bridged the gap between him and Leclerc. But Leclerc is 4 seconds behind Perez. It depends if the two Ferrari drivers can catch up to Perez in 2nd place. We look at Lance Stroll, our early race leader, still in 8th place. He is about to be caught by Lando Norris as we have a look at another replay from Max Verstappen. He's gone wide. He is not happy at all. Every time he is getting oversteer, he's saying he just cannot feel his car at all, and he's just gone wide there once again. Lando Norris could move up to 8th. He is really closing in on Lance Stroll now. The man from Bristol could gain another position with 3 laps to go. Excuse me. There is Lance Stroll in 8th place. And he is, Norris really is closing in on him. I think Norris is going to get past Stroll and up into 8th place. What a shame this race has been for Lance Stroll. Started on pole, was going to win. But no, it's been such a shame for Lance Stroll. He started on pole position, looked to win this race, and as soon as he had that pit stop, he has struggled ever since. I think Lewis Hamilton is about to go into the pits as Lance Stroll goes wide, and Norris is surely going to go through, and he does. So the man from Bristol goes up to 8th place, Lando Norris, and he is 20. And I think he's going to stay in 8th place now because he is 22 seconds behind Alex Albon, who's currently in 7th. Hamilton has just been overruled. Hamilton has overruled, his team. They were just about to prepare for him, but Lewis is confident that he will stay out till the end. The fans are voting for Sebastian Vettel as now the favourite for driver of the day. It has been a terrific race for the German driver after everything he's been through this season. As we have a look at a replay of Lance Stroll being overtaken by Lando Norris. As we see the move once again, Norris is through on Stroll. He sounded happy with that one. Good old Lando. So, as one Brit moves up to 8th place and is progressing, another Brit is about to start his last lap any minute after the right-hander. And this Brit is on the verge to be a 7-time world champion. An amazing, amazing, amazing last 6 years. 6 out of 7 years it has been for Lewis Hamilton as he starts his last lap. Lewis Hamilton starts his last lap. He's about to lap Esteban Ocon. He goes through on Esteban Ocon. And this man in the Mercedes is about to be world champion once again. He has truly dominated 2020. We weren't sure if 2020 was going ahead, as we all know, because of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, as we all know, still going at the moment, annoyingly. Hamilton has been in a league of his own this season. He really has. His closest challengers this season, Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen, have not been able to challenge him at all this season for the World Championship for the majority of the course of this season. 2 other contenders that should have been contending for the World Championship, as everyone predicted, Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel, have both endured difficult seasons at Ferrari, but this race for Ferrari and for Leclerc and Vettel will prove to be a cherry on top of a cake for Matteo Binotto's team, because they have had a superb race today. Easily Sebastian Vettel's best race of 2020. He's going to finish 4th. But Lewis Hamilton, meanwhile, is going to equal Vettel's hero, Michael Schumacher, to become a seven-time world champion. Lewis Hamilton is the 2020 Formula One world champion. Charles Leclerc goes past on Sergio Perez. Perez is struggling, but Leclerc's got wide. Vettel's going to go up to third. Sebastian Vettel's going to be on the podium. Perez is going to hold on to second place. I think Perez, but Vettel's closing. Vettel could go past Perez here right at the end. I think Perez can hold on. No, Perez does hold on. Perez is second, and Sebastian Vettel is on the podium. He is back on the podium. What a shame for Charles Leclerc at the end there, but still a good race for Leclerc. A great race for Ferrari, but what a race for Sebastian Vettel. His first podium of 2020, and easily his best race of the season. A fantastic race for Ferrari. Easily Ferrari's best race of the season. What on earth happened to Sergio Perez then at the end? We could have had two Ferraris on the podium. Perez really struggled there on the last lap. Leclerc got through. Leclerc was going to take second, but Leclerc went wide. Leclerc pushed too hard. That allowed Sergio Perez to go back into second place and take the checkered flag in second place. It has been a brilliant race for Checo. Fantastic for a man who is leaving Racing Point to make way for the man who finished third, Sebastian Vettel. A great race for Perez, a great race for Ferrari, but as for Lewis Hamilton, he is now a seven-time world champion. Carlos Sainz finishes fifth. Max Verstappen is sixth. Alex Albon seventh. Been a difficult race for Red Bull. Lando Norris holds on to the fastest lap in eighth place. What a day for Hamilton. Toto Wolff and Pete Bonington could not be any prouder. A fantastic decade, and the start of this decade it has been for Lewis Hamilton. He cannot believe it. He is now joint 7 titles with Michael Schumacher. Could he go one more next year and overtake Michael Schumacher? And that will surely, make him arguably, because you can't really decide on who's the greatest of all time, but this has surely, arguably decided on he is easily one of the greatest drivers of all time, without a doubt. Absolutely incredible from Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez finishes second. A great race for him. He's proved to his team that he's still got it, even though he is leaving Racing Point for next year. And Sebastian Vettel, the 4-time world champion, an amazing performance from the German today. Superb, and I believe Vettel has got driver of the day today as he goes up to congratulate Lewis Hamilton. Fantastic sportsmanship between the two multiple world champions. Been a difficult season for Vettel, but he has produced a superb race today, as has Charles Leclerc, his teammate, who just missed out on the podium. It could have been 2 Ferraris on the podium because they both caught right up to Sergio Perez right at the end there. Sergio Perez congratulates Lewis Hamilton as well. What a race. As we see Charles Leclerc strolling on behind, I think he's going to go up to Hamilton and congratulate. And Hamilton is now joint top on World Championships with Sebastian Vettel's hero, Michael Schumacher. But no, like I said, Sergio Perez, he's just proved to his team that he's still got it, even though he's leaving the team. And as for Vettel, he'll be taking Sergio Perez's spot next year. And he has just produced a fantastic race today, Sebastian Vettel. As for Hamilton, he's simply champion of the world. Here is Valtteri Bottas going to congratulate his teammate. It's been a disastrous race and a doubly disappointing race for Valtteri Bottas. Didn't score a single point today, but he goes on to congratulate his teammate who wins yet another world championship. It's absolutely incredible. Superb from Hamilton, and obviously 7 constructor titles in a row for Mercedes. And they're now in touching distance of becoming the second most successful manufacturer in in Formula One behind Ferrari, because they're on 7 titles now. They're just behind Williams and McLaren, who are on about 9 and 8. So what I was saying was, Mercedes are joint 4th most successful constructor of all time, with Lotus on 7 world championships. Williams are second on 9, McLaren are third on 8. This is in terms of constructors' titles, obviously. Ferrari are top on 16. So so there you have it. What a race! So that was your top 3. Sebastian Vettel, a superb drive for the German after such a turbulent season and relationship breaking down with team boss Matteo Binotto. Sergio Perez came second, and he's still there. He's proved to Racing Point today that he's still a driver that can still be there. And he's without a seat for next season. His seat obviously being taken by the man leaving Ferrari here, Sebastian Vettel. And Lewis Hamilton, he is now unbeatable. He's simply unbeatable at the moment. So I guess that sums up the top 3 of the Turkish race. Charles Leclerc was close, finished 4th. It was a great drive for Charles Leclerc, and easily Ferrari's best race of this season as a team. So I think I'm going to. I think that's the end of that. Thank you for the commentary here today, and I will catch you next time out in Bahrain. Cheerio.